prosperity for our families, prosperity for our communities. Having a stable domestic gas supply, Mr. Speaker, is about the future. It's about providing price relief for the many homeowners and especially the small and medium-sized businesses who today, Mr. Speaker, if we only have to look at what took place during the wintertime, because of a lack of access to gas supply, there were huge spikes in natural gas prices in New Brunswick again this winter, Mr. Speaker. Let's start about what type of industry we have in our province today. We have some 30 gas wells already in our province producing, and make no bones about it, Mr. Speaker, each of those gas wells have been hydraulically fractured with no problems whatsoever. But you know, Mr. Speaker, our current gas supply is only the tip of the iceberg. And you know, the reality is we have already identified some 80 trillion cubic feet of gas. And that does not include the work that SWN Canada has been undertaking in the areas of Kent County and Miramichi and Queens County and New Brunswick, Mr. Speaker, over the last while. And the reality, Mr. Speaker, is this, to put it in context, means that New Brunswick has greater reserves than Alberta. Mr. Speaker, it's a tremendous opportunity. It is tremendous hope for our province. Because of the size of the resource, it's feasible in the next few years to see the level of economic development that will bring our people home, bring our young people home, and allow our skilled people in New Brunswick to build their lives, their families right here in our province. As we see significant opportunity to increase well production, Mr. Speaker, what that will do is create billions of dollars of investment in our province. Just a moderate production of 80 wells a year, Mr. Speaker, we'll see investment of some $10 billion over the years as we go forward in our province. But that only is the tip of the iceberg, Mr. Speaker, because again, we know that the world is crying for energy. And we know that because we have Canada's only LNG facility, Mr. Speaker, we are in prime location and with the prime infrastructure to be a huge opportunity for the rest of the world. Just over the last month, I had an opportunity to go to Ottawa. And when I was in Ottawa, Mr. Speaker, I met with 25 European Union ambassadors. And we had a chance to do a Q&A, a roundtable, talking about the opportunities that New Brunswick presents to Europe and what Europe presents to New Brunswick. And what the ambassadors kept coming back to time and time again is they know that they need to diversify their energy markets. They need to ensure that not only are they receiving energy from Russia, Mr. Speaker, they also are looking for opportunities around the world. And what does that mean? That means that New Brunswick is prime located to be a gateway of energy from Canada to the rest of the world. We've had companies from India and China here, Mr. Speaker, and those companies want to be able to access our energy, including our natural gas, Mr. Speaker. They want not only to access our gas for offshore and see it be used in plants in India as an example, but they want to construct fertilizer plants in New Brunswick and value add our potash, Mr. Speaker, here, creating hundreds of jobs, creating prosperity in all parts of New Brunswick. This decision is not an easy decision. Ce n'est pas une décision facile.
It's not an easy decision. I realize it. But the reality is that this decision is necessary in the long term in this province. Today, the leader of the official opposition talked about the importance of education and innovation. And this is essential for our province, Mr. Speaker. We agree with what he said.
Mr. Speaker, right now, we're educating young minds in New Brunswick, and they have no option but to leave our province and search for opportunities elsewhere, Mr. Speaker. Developing a natural gas industry in New Brunswick will mean greater prosperity, greater quality of life for every New Brunswicker. It will mean that in New Brunswick, our universities will be able to be leaders in helping industry innovate as we go forward and increase productivity, Mr. Speaker. And we only have to look at what's taking place in universities in Alberta and Saskatchewan, where some of the world-leading technology is growing out of the oil and gas sector, Mr. Speaker. Alberta and Saskatchewan are able to keep their best minds in their province engaged with the industry and ensuring that the industry is more productive and more environmentally sustainable for the long term, Mr. Speaker, and we have that same
We want to take their gas and sell it to other countries.
You know, there's a couple of statistics that have hit home very significantly to me recently. And, you know, we know that there are more than 15,000 New Brunswickers that are working outside of our province in the very same industries as what they could be working in New Brunswick. But you know, when I was first elected to the Legislative Assembly here, we were very similar to the province of Saskatchewan. As a province, we had certainly fiscal challenges, economic challenges, and demographic challenges. And we were losing our young people from New Brunswick to Alberta. But you know, Mr. Speaker, Saskatchewan at that time was also losing literally a generation of young people from Saskatchewan because there was an opportunity, to Alberta because there was opportunity, because the oil and gas sectors, Mr. Speaker. And you know, if you go back to the early 90s in New Brunswick, Mr. Speaker, and if we look at the median after-tax income of New Brunswickers and people from Saskatchewan, in 1991, Mr. Speaker, New Brunswick was actually ahead of Saskatchewan. Our median income was $38,300. In Saskatchewan in 1991, it was $37,800. Today, Mr. Speaker, in New Brunswick, we are at $44,900, and in Saskatchewan, they are now at $53,200, Mr. Speaker. A difference of $8,800 or 23%, Mr. Speaker. That is about prosperity. It's about opportunity. It's a decision that we have to take to say yes to the development of shale gas in our province, Mr. Speaker.
No shale gas, mofo. Who are you?
That's only slightly over 20 years, Mr. Speaker, to see the change that has taken place in Saskatchewan because they've been able to say yes to the development of their resources, Mr. Speaker. And you know, Mr. Speaker, it's not only Saskatchewan. If we look at North Dakota and South Dakota in the United States, over the last very few years, Mr. Speaker, from 1929, literally until about 4 years ago, the trajectory of income between the two states mirrored each other. But you know, Mr. Speaker, there's a great difference of what's taken place in the last 4 or 5 years. There now is an additional over $11,000 worth of income per capita in North Dakota, Mr. Speaker, because they've been able to develop their natural resources and shale gas sector, Mr. Speaker, an increase in a very short few years of some 25%. What does that mean to us, Mr. Speaker? It's about hope. It's about opportunity for the future of our province.
For who? You guys?
It means that our young people have an opportunity to gain an outstanding education here where government has the revenues to be able to invest in the most important priorities of New Brunswickers.
Bullshit.
It means that our young people who receive their education here, whether it's secondary education or post-secondary education, Mr. Speaker, they have that opportunity to stay here and make the decision to build their lives and build their communities here in New Brunswick. And it means that they're going to be able to earn more dollars, Mr. Speaker, earn greater value for them and their family. It means that they're going to be able to invest those monies, that extra money that they're receiving, in the things that are most important to them. And Mr. Speaker, that means that our economy in New Brunswick will be stronger. It means that all sectors will be able to feed off of a strong foundation of an economy based on shale gas development, an economy
I
based
can't
on a
listen to this
forestry
bullshit
sector,
anymore.
an economy
Sorry.
based on a mining sector that is prosperous, Mr. Speaker.